to chessdna, and in today's video I brought something super special for you to enjoy. The clash between two of the giants of the game. The great Bobby Fischer takes on the great Mikhail Tal in this epic battle of 1959 candidates tournament. Fischer is only 15, Tal is just 23, and these two guys bring us a treat to watch. Now, without wasting any time, I know your time is important, without wasting any more time, let's dive right into the game. So Fischer has white pieces and he starts with one e4. He always does, and there's no surprise in that. And Tal goes with c5. Usually we see Mikhail Tal play the Perk defense or the old Indian and whatnot, but here he is ready for a battle. He is ready for a fight, so he goes c5, Sicilian defense. Fischer goes knight f3 and Tal plays d6, and after d4, c captures d4, knight captures d4, knight to f6 attacking the pawn on e4, knight c3 defending, and Tal plays a6, Sicilian Najdorf. And Fischer goes bishop c4, and after e6 he drops the bishop back to b3. Fischer sows in attack, and here Mikhail Tal wastes no time going b5, expanding on the queen side and threatening to play b4, kicking away the defender of the e4 and then simply chopping off the pawn on e4. But Fischer ignores it. He goes f4, and after b4, knight a5 and knight takes on e4. Bobby Fischer is already down a pawn against Mikhail Tal. Bobby Fischer castles, and after g6 by Tal, he plans to puts his bishop on g6, but not just that. He stops f5 idea by putting both of these pawns on e6 and g6, because usually the idea in the Fischer solution for white is to play f5 and break open the position on the king side. But what does Fischer do? Goes f5, and he doesn't care. He plays f5 and gives up the pawn, and g takes on f5, and boom. I mean, what to say about these kind of moves? What 15-year-old kid playing against a Soviet giant and sacrifices the knight? It's the double exclamation mark move. Unbelievable stuff. Rook to g8, lining the black rook with the white king, and back-to-back double exclamation mark moves, guys. What is going on? Bishop to d5, attacking the rook, attacking the knight, and he has just put a couple of pieces free to take. And I mean, and what does Tal do? He doesn't take. And if you take any of these pieces, it's going to be very bad. If you take the knight, let's say you lose the rook first of all, so that's out of question. And if you take the bishop, queen takes on d5, forks the rook and the knight, and still good for white. So Tal doesn't do it. He just plays rook a7. And after bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight, bishop takes on f5, and rook to e7, using the rook as a defensive piece on the e file. Fischer eliminates the bishop on c8, queen takes c8, and bishop to f4, attacking the pawn on d6. And here Tal goes queen c6, attacking the knight on a4. Bobby Fischer offers a trade of queens by going queen f3, but Tal is not interested in taking the queen. Why not? Because he sees a free knight and he grabs it, and Bobby Fischer takes the pawn on d6, attacks the rook on e7 and the knight on b8, but double exclamation mark move by Tal now. And what is going on? A lot of brilliant moves in this game, and Tal says to Fischer that, okay, you surprised me with a couple of brilliant moves, now it's my turn. Queen back to c6, not defending the rook, not defending the knight, but offering a quick trade of queens. Like, what is going on? Bobby Fischer takes off the knight, and now Tal goes queen to b6 check, giving a check and forking the bishop on b8, and after king to h1, Tal grabs the bishop. Now Bobby Fischer is still down a piece. How does he continue? It's a beautiful story about this position that Mikhail Tal was looking at Bobby Fischer's score sheet, and Fischer writes down the move rook a to e1, and Tal, after looking at that, smiles. And Bobby Fischer saw Tal smiling, and he was like, okay, why is Tal smiling? And he probably thought there is something wrong with the move, and probably Tal wants me to make that move, so he immediately cuts it. He cancels the move, because back then the rules were that you first wrote the moves and then played it. Now it's the opposite. You first make the move and then write. But back then it was different, and this is the power of the magician from Riga's smile. He smiles and makes Bobby Fischer cancel his plan. In fact, rook a to e1 is the only move in the position. Otherwise, every other move is good for black. And here Bobby Fischer actually makes the mistake of playing queen to c6 check, and after rook d7 defending rook a to e1 now, but it's a little too late because now Tal gets the chance to block with the bishop on e7, and rook takes f7, king takes f7, queen e6 check, king f8, and winning the rook finally, but still Bobby Fischer is still down a piece, and now this is becoming really hard because the pieces have gone off the board. There is no attack. Fischer does have 2 pawns for the piece, but is it going to be enough? I don't think so, because Tal is no kid and he can defend the position as well. He is the greatest attacker of all time, but he can defend. He's a grandmaster, of course, so he offers the trade of queens, but Fischer declines it. And after rook g6, c3, a5, queen c8 check, king g7, queen to c4, and now bishop to d8 with the idea to play bishop to c7 and threaten the mate on h2. Bobby Fischer takes the pawn on b4, a takes b4, and here Fischer goes g3 to blunt out that diagonal. So bishop c7, queen takes h2 is no more a threat, but this gives opportunity to Mikhail Tal to play queen c6 check, forcing the trade of queens. And after this, he just delivers a masterclass. Just beautiful maneuvering of pieces. And see how masterfully he brings his pieces. Fischer is just desperately hoping to get a draw, repeating the position, but Tal is definitely not allowing that. And here he just plays b3, keeps the position a little bit locked on the queen side because he has calculated everything. Rook to c8, and he grabs the pawn on b2, rook to d8 check, king c6, rook to b8, rook to f3 check, and after king goes to c4, rook c3 check, king to b4, and king c7, attacking the rook on b8, forcing rook b5, and now bishop to a1, creating the square for the pawn to march forward. And here Tal is also sacrificing the rook after a4, b2, and he asks Fischer to take the rook, but in this position Bobby Fischer throws in the towel. He resigns because if he does take the rook, then Tal promotes to a queen, but with a check by the bishop, and Fischer has no time to take the queen, so Bobby Fischer resigns. Guys, this is a crazy game. I loved it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, and if you like the content of this channel, if you want me to keep making more of videos like this and entertain you with the clashes of these giants from the past, then don't forget to subscribe and like this video. See you guys in the next video.